Now at noon, University of Oregon faculty planning to strike for the first time ever. The university's response, plus tensions raised in Vancouver after a man arrested for soliciting sex from minors is released. And President Donald Trump taking steps to dismantle the Department of Education. How Democratic leaders are pushing back. And how you can fight back when your health insurance claim is denied. Thank you for joining us at noon. I'm China Green. Our top story, the union representing faculty at the University of Oregon announced today that they intend to strike. This could happen as soon as the end of the month. This would be the first strike by University of Oregon faculty in Eugene, the union representing nearly 1,900 full and part-time workers. It says that they will strike bargaining last-minute progress at the negotiation table, and it claims that the university has been resistant to a fair, reasonable contract. We reached out to University of Oregon for a response. It says it's committed to negotiating a new contract and it has made progress towards that goal. All right, turning now to weather, we have an impact alert for the Cascades. First day of spring comes with the winter storm warning.
And the rain and the cold in the valley and the whole mess, right? So there's still winter storm warning in effect actively until 11 p.m. tonight. We expect snow at times, heavy into tomorrow. So if you are traveling, could be some sort of an advisory or warning extended. Now, with all of that said, things are improving up there, and I'll show you the past camera in a moment. But heavy snow at times, slow travel, change traction tires, absolutely required as you go up into the high country. So realize that. Now, we thought temperatures at government camp would get above freezing this afternoon. We were correct. It's 33 degrees right now. Because of that, what was a completely snow-covered 26 is now showing some slushy conditions, and even Santiam at 31 is getting down to some bare pavement. But realize there will be more snow overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Things will become snow covered again, so keep that in mind. Here's the radar. It will continue to be a very wet afternoon. I still think it's going to be raining pretty close to steady for the remainder of the daylight hours on this first day of spring. We're at 49 degrees. I'm going to leave the high today right about 50. We may or may not warm up another single degree. It's a breezy south wind out there, 10 to 20 miles per hour. Nothing stormy this afternoon, China, but the rain continues, and that's going to make it for a chilly first day of spring.
Thank you, Rod. In Clark County, a man is now out of jail just 24 hours after being arrested for offering 3 teenage girls money for sex. One of those incidents happened at Heritage High School in Vancouver Monday morning. A sergeant with the Clark County Sheriff's Office told KGW that they were able to track down 21-year-old Alex Wrightrock after one victim pulled out her phone and snapped pictures of his car after he offered money for sex at her bus stop. School officials say he targeted kids at schools in the Evergreen District and in Battleground 2. Heritage High School administrators sent an email thanking students and families for reporting the incident. Still, some parents are understandably alarmed.
It's scary, you know, that's the reality of today. It's definitely something that we have to teach our kids about and make sure that they're knowledgeable on.
KGW also spoke to a cousin of one of the victims. They tell us that her cousin is still shaken up days later. Parents across the area say that they're trying to figure out the best way to make sure their kids are safe. New developments today in the vandalism incidents at multiple Tesla properties across the country. 3 people, including one from Oregon, now face severe charges in what Attorney General Pamela Bondi calls a wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla. Today's announcement didn't specify what federal charges were added, but it does state that each defendant could spend between 5 to 20 years in prison if they're found guilty. And we do know 41-year-old Adam Lansky is charged with illegally possessing an unregistered destructive device after he allegedly threw Molotov cocktails at the Salem Tesla dealership. In national education news, President Donald Trump is expected to sign an executive order today that could eventually close the Department of Education. The Trump administration says it plans to give educational authority back to the individual states. Now, earlier this month, the department said it planned to cut about half of its staff and would put those staff members on administrative leave starting tomorrow. Education Secretary Linda McMahon said that this cut aligns with the department's commitment to efficiency, accountability, and ensuring that resources were directed where they matter most, the students, parents, and teachers. Shutting down the department altogether would take an act of Congress, but Democrats across the country have pushed back on this. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield believes that this dismantling is unconstitutional and has joined 20 other attorneys general in suing the Trump administration to try and stop the changes. Rayfield says that he's concerned that students with disabilities and students from low-income families would lose services and funding. Secretary McMahon has said that those core functions will continue. We'll be streaming the signing schedule for 12:30 on KGW+. In the meantime, educators and parents from across Western Washington are taking their budget concerns to the streets. They held rallies yesterday urging lawmakers to boost education funding as potential budget cuts loom.
It's hard to work at a school where you don't have everything you need to get the kids what they deserve, what they need to be successful.
In a letter sent to lawmakers last week, the Washington State Superintendent argued that many school districts are in extreme financial distress because funding has not kept up with inflation since 2019. Now, we are also hearing from local lawmakers about the potential impacts of spending cuts that's happening in Washington, D.C. The Trump administration has signaled states could see up to a 30% reduction in total federal dollars. About a third of Oregon's $38 billion budget is supported by federal money going towards things like health care, education, transportation. But even with that uncertainty, the new budget framework does attempt to address the increasing cost of wildfires, doubling the emergency fund from $50 to $100 million as lawmakers try to avoid another special session.
So we'd like to avoid that if we can possibly do that. And this is just a way of sort of plussing up our system so that we can actually pay our bills if we come into an expense that we weren't expecting.
Lawmakers plan to hold town halls around the state so Oregonians can weigh on their priorities. The budget is due by the end of the session on June 29th. It's not something people like to think about, but it's well documented that insurances does not always cover you during health emergencies. NBC's Vicki Nguyen worked with local affiliates, including our own investigator Kyla Boshi, to see how you can fight back.
When every second counts in a health scare, insurance is the last thing on your mind. But sometimes the aftermath is even scarier. An estimated 450 million health insurance claims are denied every year. That's an estimated 1 out of every 10 claims filed. The majority for higher cost services and treatments. The average denial for claims of $14,000 or more.
I just think it's going to financially devastate me.
Last fall, Amanda Boley took her dog for a walk, then suddenly collapsed in cardiac arrest.
I need an ambulance immediately.
As our NBC affiliate in Indianapolis reported, when paramedics arrived, Amanda wasn't breathing.
Stay with me.
To save her life, doctors had her med-flighted to the nearest major hospital, where a device was implanted to reset her heart.
Had they not flown you by helicopter,
I'd be dead.
The bill for that emergency air ambulance, $65,000. But Amanda's insurer, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, wouldn't pay, writing this service requires pre-approval.
I was unconscious. I don't know how I'm supposed to get pre-approval.
So Amanda appealed, not once, but twice. Still, Anthem denied the claim, saying air ambulance services are subject to medical necessity reviews by us and will only be covered when approved in advance, before services are performed.
It's mind-boggling and it's infuriating that this can occur.
The Guyette family spoke to our NBC affiliate in Portland, Oregon. Their little girl, Gracelyn, needed emergency surgery after a fall, so doctors had her airlifted to a hospital with a pediatric surgeon. But later, that same insurer, Anthem, denied the nearly $60,000 transport bill, saying the air ambulance was not medically necessary.
It would feel odd as a parent when all these doctors are telling you she's got to go by air ambulance now to be like, nope, wait.
Last year, the National Association of EMS Physicians sent this letter to federal health officials saying they've seen a spike in denials of claims. One possible reason for the trend, some experts believe insurance companies are using AI to make claims decisions instead of real people.
Unfortunately, we know that AI has mistakes, and sometimes insurance companies are denying claims inappropriately. They should be covering them.
The Trade Group for Health Insurers told us while AI is used to process some claim appeals, potential denials are always subject to human review. In a statement to NBC News, Anthem said AI is not used to deny air ambulance services. When our NBC affiliates contacted Anthem about these two cases, the company changed course and agreed to pay the claims. Telling them in Amanda's case, it made a mistake in how her claim was initially processed. In Graceland's case, Anthem said it only received the necessary medical information to justify air transport in the appeal process.
The appeal that we sent that they've just approved was identical to what was sent before. I think certainly the pressure of having media on them is really probably what made this get approved.
Experts say to improve your chances of claim approval, review your policy to know what's covered. Make sure your medical providers send the insurer all necessary paperwork and justifications. And if your claim is denied, file an appeal.
The truth is, more than 50% of the time, people win when they file an appeal.
And in another story tonight, exclusively streaming on KGW+, we're looking into the growing number of lawsuits against major chemical hair relaxer companies. Thousands of women across the country claim these products are linked to cancer. We'll explore the science behind the claims, the ongoing legal battle, and why some companies deny responsibility. Catch the 1 hour special tonight at 8. Again, that is only on KGW+.